Alright, what's up people? JP here with JP is Sick Crazy, and as always, stay wet, remember that, stay active, and stay loving the hobby. Right now we're going to talk about, well, this is really a video response for my boy and famous Aquatics on how I got into the hobby. We're going to talk about it. It's pretty much like anybody else, you know. I've been keeping fish. You know, I've had turtles when I was little and fish when I was little, you know, that my parents took care of, and they are in my room, of course, you know. So that's not how I got into the hobby. That was something that my parents had for me as a kid to enjoy. Okay? But how I got into the hobby was had just turned 18 and had just, as soon as I turned 18, about a month after that, I went and got my own place, and my buddy had a fish tank that he had set up. I have no idea what was in there. He told me what it was, and he had all stuff for it, and it was a 55-gallon, just like this 55-gallon right here. That's why I'm sitting in front of this one. And he was selling it. He no longer wanted it. I said, oh, sweet, you know, let me check it out. And I bought it, and I had my own place. I was like, this is going to be dope. 55-gallon tank is huge. I thought it was huge back then. And this was I'm 23, so you figure 6 years ago, probably 5.5, 6 years ago, when I got it. We'll say 5 years ago when I got it, and I didn't know nothing about nothing. I did some reading, and I was like, okay, I've always loved the natural scape that you have, and so I didn't have like rocks and stuff. I bought natural looking ornaments, you know, and I filled it up, and I had some cichlids. I had some American cichlids. I didn't really have any. I think I had maybe a couple African cichlids in there. I had African cichlids, American cichlids, bala sharks, had a clown loach in there. I had all kinds of stuff in there. And, you know, I had no idea. And that moved me forth. I had that tank for a long time while I stayed in that place for about a year and a half. And then, well, about a year I was in that place right after the lease come up at the first year when we moved out. And I had that tank the whole time, added fish, took fish from it. They changed up the decorations, you know, and it was just a big community tank. African cichlids, American cichlids, tropical fish, all that good stuff, catfish. I had everything in it. I really loved the tank. I read about, you know, how to keep a tank, how to maintain the water, so I knew about that, but I wasn't specific on any type of fish, okay? And then I moved, so I tore the tank down and moved forth, and I loved the tank, so I moved to an apartment. And I set the tank back up, and I started getting into it more because I got rid of the fish, and I was like, what kind of fish am I going to put in this tank? And so I started doing more research because I liked the cichlids that I had. Okay? And so I turned that tank into an American cichlid tank with the basics. I had some jewel cichlids, I had some Jack Dempseys, I had some convicts, and I had it's like a I can't think of dinosaur Burchard, J.W. Heiser. Well, no, he has one. So if you watch his channel, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I had 2 of those in there. So I had American cichlids and some dinosaur Burchard cichlids in there, and you know, so I started getting real into keeping American cichlids, and I of course got another tank, set up another tank, and had Africans in it, which I was completely, you know, which was a 29-gallon tank. So then I moved forth into that, and then, you know, this is about 2 years into it. So I'm 2 years into keeping fish and having a fish tank, you know, not you know, completely into it like I am now. And you know, so I had American cichlids, and then I had a small tank of African cichlids, and just the basics, the mbunas in that 29-gallon tank. And then I moved forward, and then I started watching YouTube. I didn't have a YouTube account. I just made this YouTube account probably less than a year ago, and only been really uploading videos for probably a solid four months to this YouTube account. So, you know, all combined. There's older videos, but all combined in time. So then where were we at? So then I started watching YouTube, okay? Started watching YouTube, and I was like, oh man, first person I come across, of course, was KG Tropicals. You know, bam, that guy, who wouldn't be a new person into the hobby, who wouldn't be inspired by that guy, especially when you love fish, you know, you love keeping fish. Not a certain time, just at that point I loved keeping fish. I loved having a tank. I thought it looked dope. I always got compliments on my tank because I always did a nice scape on it. I always kept the water nice and clear and it clean and the gravel clean. I never, whatever you want to call it. Didn't maintenance my tank. And then I found KG Tropicals. I mean, who wouldn't be inspired by that guy? A hobbyist into cichlids. He kept cichlids as a hobby. He loved the tanks. And then he goes on and starts breeding them and makes a business out of it. Who wouldn't be inspired by that guy? And I was inspired by him. Then I started looking around, and the first main people that I had found was J.W. Heiser. You know, I started looking at his channel. I've been watching his channel for a long time. Who else main person? I don't know the names off the top of my head. I did find Cichlid Man 09. Found him, was watching him. Pretty much the whole aquatic support team that I had found and really started watching their videos, and which drawn me even closer into the cichlid, the fish keeping, but cichlid keeping hobby. So then therefore I had those 2 tanks at my apartment, and then moved again. Okay, I pick a lot of places. I stay for my lease and then find somewhere else, and moved again and started getting into a house this time, and then started getting into slowly getting into trying to breed them and just keeping them. So at that point, I had my 55 when I moved. I set it all back up with my American cichlids. And then after that, I then had my 55 gallon when I moved. Set that up. Had my 29 gallon when I moved. And then I got a large, like 60 gallon hexagon tank, which I turned that into a tropical fish tank. My girlfriend wanted a tropical fish tank, so we hooked it up, made it all natural with some live plants and all that good stuff. She took over that tank and put in some tropical fish in that tank. And then I started wanting to get into breeding, so I bought a bunch of 20 gallons, 29 gallons, and had an extra room. I had a 3-bedroom house at that time with 3 large bedrooms, and started turning that 1-bedroom into a small breeding room. Had some 29 set up and all that good stuff. I had no idea what I was doing. I was doing reading, I was watching YouTube, but I still had no idea what I was doing. I had a bunch of, I had like a Jack Dempsey pair, I had a convict cichlid pair, I had a red jewel pair, and then I had some like a small trios of Mbunas that I had in there, and they were all breeding. You know, I was getting into going to all my local fish stores and trading. Mostly, you know, some of them will buy them if you talk to them, build a relationship. You know, some of them will buy them from you for a dirt cheap price, $1 or $2 a piece, depending on size. And then I was really just trading for in-store credit for more tanks, more filters, more food. You know, that was maintaining. I was actually to the point where I was maintaining my hobby with my hobby, and you know, move forward. And then I moved again. Okay, about 1.5 years later, I moved again down to Cocoa, Florida. I'm in Jacksonville, Florida. Moved again to Cocoa Beach, Florida, to where my parents are, and brought all my stuff down there, brought all the systems down there. That's when I had set everything back up. I wasn't doing too much breeding because I was living with my parents at the time, and just had all my show tanks put up, a few 55s put up, which you can start seeing those at the beginning of these videos, and had put all those back up, and I wasn't doing any type of breeding. And then I got my dad into the hobby. They had like a 4,200 square foot house. They have 4,200 square foot house, 4,300 square foot house. So they had a big house and a lot of room, a lot of extra rooms, and an extra living room that no one would go in. And my parents are super awesome, and they let me set all my tanks up in there. So I set them all up. Was getting back into it, a new place. You know, I was working a lot. And so I set up all my show tanks, was trying a few different things, and then my dad got into the hobby, and when he gets into something, he dives head first into something, and he set up, I mean, 55s, back to back, 85 gallon, 90 gallon, 100 gallon, just bam, 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 back to back, and next thing you know, he has a peacock tank, a peacock and half tank, he has an Mbuna tank, he has a tropical tank. He has a American cichlid tanks with green terrors. He has an Oscar tank full of Oscars. He has, you know, and so then therefore it took off. And then me and him were getting into it together, you know, really working on things. And we were really going to turn that garage into a breeding room. And then I moved back to Jacksonville to where I'm at now. And, you know, I'm just getting started now. You have pretty much seen where I'm at with everything since I moved into this apartment. And I plan on being here a while. And because it's free rent, free utilities, because I'm an on-site manager at a storage company, so I got a big like 1,600 square foot apartment that's free, and I don't have to pay utilities, and cable comes with it, so I have no bills except for the bills that I want. So of course I'm going to be here a while, And you know, so and from that point, since I moved in here, y'all have been watching my YouTube and seeing where I'm at with everything, you know. And you know, so I just like anybody else, I got into the hobby. I got a fish tank, and I become drawn, and I stuck with it because I really enjoyed it, and I become drawn to more one specific part of fish keeping, and that is cichlids, and keeping cichlids, and also breeding cichlids, and I become drawn to that, and that's been my hobby ever since. There's nothing else that I've ever picked up as a hobby like this. This is my one and only hobby. I truly enjoy it. You know, if you're thinking about, you know, keeping fish, keeping cichlids, you know, it's definitely worth it. You get a tank and you really become drawn and passionate about it. It's definitely worth it. It takes time and money, you know. It takes time and money and a lot of effort and a lot of hours. But, you know, it's a hobby, man, and everybody has to have something that they love and drawn towards in life, or they're going to be boring and sitting on the couch all the time, or just work and do nothing. You know, if this isn't your hobby, something else is your hobby. You got to have something that you're drawn to, you know, and doing on a daily basis. That's just how I got into this hobby, people. You know, I've loved it ever since I've started with it. You know, as you can see, you know, I put a lot of time, passion, and money into it, and I just truly love it. And in Famous Aquatics, bro, that's how I got into this hobby. You know, everybody, thank you for watching, and please remember to rate, comment, and subscribe. Always hit that subscribe button. If you like cichlids, hit the subscribe button. And if you don't hit the subscribe button, you don't like cichlids. I'm just kidding with you guys. You know, don't forget to subscribe. And one last thing, this kid starting, he's new into the hobby. He just got a big 125-gallon tank. I have a 125-gallon tank. His YouTube name is Cichlids for Life. Go check him out, man. He's just starting up, and he's doing videos like crazy. He's just literally starting. Go check him out, man. You know, he's really getting into the hobby. I think he's going to be something great in the hobby down the line if you continue to grasp it and get into it, man. And I appreciate everybody for watching. Remember to stay wet and love your fish. Just love your fish, people. Treat them good. Take care of their tanks. And stay wet.